The Apostle Paul begins many of his epistles with expressions of thanks to friends for their help and for their steadfast faith. He tries to encourage them in their faith and in their various ministries. With our emphasis on honesty and plain speech, it'd be easy to assume that Paul was using flattery to help him achieve some hidden agenda. After all, he goes on to criticize the same people that he just complimented. So was Paul being honest? It seems he was, and that's the subject of this video. Paul was looking at both sides of the coin. He was trying to polish up the light that existed in each believer that he ministered to, at the same time that he would attack the darkness that he saw in them. What Paul was doing is a good example for each of us to follow, not only with the people that we ministered to, but also with ourselves. Jesus said, "Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven." If we understand that the light he is talking about is God himself, then we can shine that light without feeling that we are showing off or being proud. Our old self was, and is, full of sin, and we often have to work at dealing with that part of us, the darkness. We should seek to crucify all that it represents. But the new person is Jesus himself, and we can rightly rejoice in that, taking great delight in how amazing his work is in us. If we keep both halves of the picture in perspective, then we'll be able to grow in confidence at the same time that we can avoid becoming proud. Our confidence isn't in our own goodness, because we've seen just how bad we can be. But our confidence is in the light that is in us, for it is God himself who is dwelling in us and transforming and perfecting us. As Christians, we are strangers and pilgrims, aliens in this world. Society will ostracize us and try to shame us into conforming to the values and lifestyles that it declares we must live. If our faith is going to survive, we mustn't listen to society. We must not accept its negative picture of us. We have to get our inspiration, hope, and our self-image from God himself, from the Bible, and from fellow Christians. We need to build each other up and to encourage one another to attain the Christ-like attributes that are part of our inheritance. We cannot become the light of the world unless we're willing to nurture and cherish and protect that light that is within us. God's light is the inner beauty from which we get spiritual energy and hope for ourselves and for those whom we meet. We mustn't let some misunderstood idea of humility stop us from reveling in that light and shining it through everything that we do. Through our facial expressions, through our body language, through our words, and through our thoughts. I'd like to present some practical tips and thoughts on what we can do to encourage and protect that light that is within each of us. Number 1, it's important to view difficulties and sufferings as the refining process that they are. You can choose to let them make you bitter and depressed, or you can choose to let them make you stronger and more full of God's light. Use your imagination to visualize what the trials are doing and how they are making you more beautiful for God, and then relish in the difficulties in the same way that an athlete looks forward to training. The same principles apply to physical training and spiritual training. If those spiritual muscles don't get a workout, they're not going to grow stronger. Number 2, don't run yourself down. Humility is a mystery, because at the same time that it's based on honesty about our shortcomings, it is also a product of confidence in God's righteousness. Righteousness that resides in us through the grace of Christ. Condemnation and berating yourself don't achieve humility. Accept that you are a sinner. Accept who you are, but quickly move on from there to become the saint that you have been destined to be through the love of God. Rather than running yourself down, what you should be doing is spending a few moments each day, especially when you go to bed at night and when you wake up in the morning, reflecting on all the good things that God is doing in your life and thanking Him for them. Don't forget to thank Him for the difficult and uncomfortable things as well. We don't always know what God's purpose is in these small trials, but just as a grain of sand irritates an oyster and transforms into a pearl, all these trials and tribulations, inconveniences and difficulties work in the same way. They're creating something within us that will be something precious if we allow ourselves to go through that process. Number 3, stay focused on the purpose that God has for your life. You need specific goals, some short-term and some long-term, some that are personal and some that are shared with your family or community. Of course, these goals need to be determined prayerfully, and they need to be obtainable. God's not going to give us or demand of us anything that we're not actually able to achieve. It's having a purpose that gives you enthusiasm when you wake up in the morning. So don't neglect to be faithful with the little things, the little routines that are going to help you achieve your bigger goals. That enthusiasm also creates an energy that is visible to those you meet, and it is a major ingredient in the beauty that is shining out from within you. Number 4, look for the good in others and compliment them for it. By complimenting others, you win twice. Those that you have complimented will get a lift in their spirits and possibly think well of you as a result, and you yourself will get a feel-good payment from it too, because you'll sense that it is the light which is coming out of you that produced that compliment. Complimenting someone else will reinforce all the good thoughts you've been having about God's light being in you, and you will see that the thoughts weren't lies or exaggerations. They really are true. So I think it's safe to say, Paul wasn't a flatterer. He didn't have a hidden agenda. He spoke the truth as he saw it. He saw it because he consciously focused on it, and he gave praise where it was due. God's Spirit really was in the people he led, even if they did make a lot of mistakes. And the same is true about you. Shine up that light that is in you and the light that is in others, that they may glorify your Father who is in heaven.